Good day, Amy. It's so awesome to get to talk to you today. We're super grateful that you're joining us. And so, Amy, our viewers want to know who you are and why you're significant to this calculated novel series as it relates to the motion picture franchise ONEDOOR Studio is launching. You've been a literary agent now for quite some time, maybe a couple of decades at least?
Yes, surprisingly enough to myself.
And during that time, you've been able to work with authors like Tom Wolfe, Gore Vidal, Joan Didion, and even President Jimmy Carter, right?
That's right. I worked for Janklow and Nesbitt Associates for a woman named Lynn Nesbitt, who's a very big agent, and she represented all of those authors. And I, by default, got to work with them, which was wonderful.
Sweet. That's awesome. And you currently represent the New York Times best-selling author, Jessica Day George, along with a select group of other authors, right?
That's correct. So after I started my own company, I decided to focus on children's literature. And I've been very lucky to work with some really wonderful authors in that space, including Jessica Day George, who writes wonderful fantasy novels for both middle grade and YA.
So I got to know, you being a New York literary agent, tell me, how did Nova, the author of Calculated, from Seattle no less, come under your radar?
Well, funny enough, she actually just was, she queried me, which is what authors do when they're looking for an agent. They send out queries for their book to as many agents as they can get in touch with. And it happened to land in my inbox. And I had a wonderful intern at that time who was managing my queries, who plucked it out and recognized that there was something really special there. And she sent it my way. And in fact, it was for a different novel, not Calculated, that she had queried me. And I really liked that book. And then once we started talking about having me represent her, she said, hey, I actually have this other novel, which was Calculated, which I sat down and read immediately, like from start to finish within a day, and absolutely knew that that was going to be the first book that we worked on.
Wow. So this story, Calculated, from your perspective as an agent, looking for a young adult or YA stories, as we call them now, what makes Calculated stand out to you so significantly?
Well, I'd say throughout my career, I've always looked for projects and authors with really big potential that were unique. And I think Calculated has so many unique qualities. You don't see really great, I don't see a lot of thrillers for YA that I really feel are also wonderful for an adult audience. I think that's the thing about Calculated. It really transcends the audience. I think anybody can appreciate this book. And it has some really terrific themes beyond just the action and adventure and all the excitement that goes with that. There's just a lot of heart in this book and a lot of really wonderful, I guess I would say, things that I think anybody can relate to in terms of ideas of, forgiveness, how you get over really hard experiences, and that growing up process that we all go through, where we have to learn how to become who we are meant to be. And that's one of the big themes of this book.
So when I'm not a novel reader, I never really liked reading very much, but when I picked this book up, I could not put it down. Did you have that same experience?
Yes, I did. And it's really rare for me. As an agent, I see hundreds and thousands of queries. And so when I start reading, I usually within the first page or so can tell if it's something that is, has some potential. And usually, I don't have a lot of time to just sit down and read a book. I have to be pretty circumspect about my reading. So I don't sit down and just, devour a novel. And when that happens, it's something special.
Yeah, agreed. Wouldn't you agree, John, Jason?
100%. I had the same exact experience.
I had the same experience. I had about 15 minutes, and I thought I would read the first 3 pages because that's what I usually do, and that's usually enough. And they go on the return or trash sack, and I was maybe 20 pages in it, and realized that I couldn't stop reading, and it was just it was very. It's always an exciting experience to find something that's really great, because there's so much material out there. There just isn't really very much material that's over the top. and the series, I think.
Absolutely. So got two more questions only for you, Amy. The first one is, do you see this novel making a good movie franchise?
Oh, I think it'll be fantastic as a movie franchise. I think it's got all of the things that you want in a really great action film. But then, like I said, it's got this this depth to it that is really different than most action films, I would say. The idea that this young woman who, I mean, the basic premise with her being a mathematical genius, just understanding the way that she sees the world is so fascinating. And then to have this really extreme experience that she has where she's kidnapped and really stripped of everything in her life that in her previous life. And she has to figure out, how do I survive and how do I use my talent to be able to overcome this experience and find a new life. And then, you know, also take down the bad guys. So it's very rewarding, I would say, for audiences.
Taking down the bad guys. Every good story's got to take out some bad guy. And this story, this is my last question for you, and this story, Calculated, it's not a standalone, right? There's a lot more to come, kind of like a trilogy, maybe?
Yes, I would say right now we have 3 books that we're planning on in the series. So there'll be lots of material for other movies to come after Calculated. We have Simulated, which is the next book in the series, and then Activated, which is the 3rd book.
Ooh, that's an exciting sounding series. Calculated, Simulated, and Activated. Right. Well, thanks so much, Amy. Really enlightening and awesome to have you here with us today.
Well, it's nice to talk to all of you, and I'm excited for the potential that, you know, that this has. I think this is a really neat point in the life of this book.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. Been a real pleasure working with you and Nova, and we're looking forward to more of the same.
Same awesome. Here, and Nova as well.